of a political giant didn't start with a scandal, with a punchline. What if one courtroom lie, one late-night jab, and one viral remix turned Trump's empire into a national circus? It began with Trump's just pathetic defense on the stand and ended with Trump being renamed Taco Man by the entire internet. But the real twist came when we found out Trump's White House tried to censor the joke by calling Disney, "This isn't just late-night roasting, it's legacy destruction." And the final hit, so personal, so permanent, it left even Trump He detonated a grenade as Trump Jr. tried justifying fraudulent valuations by trusting the experts. Kimmel flipped that logic inside out. Should patients sue doctors when things go wrong? He asked mockingly. The absurdity was too real. Suddenly, Trump Jr.'s entire defense collapsed into a parody. And then came the bomb. Jimmy dropped a remix of the Village People's Macho Man, but rewrote it as Taco Man. What happened next was pure political carnage. The parody wasn't just funny, it was weaponized satire. Viewers laughed, Trump didn't. What made it worse, the internet loved it. Within hours, Taco Man was trending, choreographed, and blasted across every screen like a disco bullet. It wasn't just the digital age had no mercy. Within 24 hours, Trump's image had been rebranded by artificial intelligence. Chicken armor, lettuce, raps, and deep fake voiceovers painted him as a fast food dictator. Taco Man wasn't a meme anymore. It was a revolution. And while Trump scrolled through rage tweets, the real gut punch landed. A Rolling Stone report exposed how his White House had made not one, but two phone calls to Disney demanding they rein in Jimmy Kimmel. That's right, while he had nuclear codes, Trump was trying to cancel late-night jokes. The President of the United States literally told his staff, "I call Mickey Mouse. I'm being bullied. You can't make this up." But Jimmy didn't back down. In fact, he doubled down. And the timing couldn't have been more brutal. The joke killed the image. Jimmy Kimmel didn't just survive Trump's outrage. He turned it into a front-page headline. "President Karen demands to speak to my manager." He joked. And America couldn't stop laughing. Here was a man who once weaponized the DOJ, now whining to Disney like a Yelp reviewer. It was political theater at its most embarrassing. But beneath the punchlines was a deadly serious message. This man cannot take criticism. And when someone with unchecked power lashes out over late-night satire, what else might they overreact to? Foreign leaders, Supreme Court rulings, nuclear diplomacy. The scary part isn't the joke, it's the tantrum. And Trump's tantrum was just getting started.
How weak and pathetic is a guy like that? The Tonight Show, which is dying. They're all dying. Where's Johnny Carson? Bring back Johnny. It made you appreciate, right, Uncle Sam? It made you appreciate the greatness of Johnny Carson. I go on his show, and he goes, "Is that your real hair?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you mind if I mess it up?" So he grabs it, and he starts really going crazy, right? And everybody laughed, and it was a big thing, and it was a big hit. It was all over the place, and he got great ratings and all. And 6 months later, he went out because he was under pressure to apologize because he humanized Donald Trump. Do you remember? And he stood up and he said, "I'd like to apologize. 6 months ago, or whatever it was, I messed up Donald Trump's hair and it humanized him and he became president. And I would like to apologize." How weak and pathetic is a guy like that? And his show died, but the other two shows are dying.
As Jimmy's jokes burned through MAGA morale, Trump's fury leaked into national policy. While he fumed over Taco Man, the Supreme Court reignited a national firestorm. Conservative justices questioned whether AR-15 bans are even constitutional, essentially opening the door to more gun chaos. Justice Thomas warned against waiting too long to legalize America's most popular assault rifle. And as that political bombshell dropped, Trump stayed focused on his beef with a late-night host. While real-world rulings endangered lives, he was stuck rage posting about being bullied. Think about that. A former president once trusted with the nuclear codes now triggered by parodies and puppets. And the scarier question loomed. If a nickname like Taco can spiral him into meltdown, what happens when world leaders challenge him? We've already seen it, and it never ends well.
President Trump flew to Rome to pay his respects and also to see if he could get a deal on the Pope Mobile to drive around his golf course. For whatever reason, even though the Vatican dress code specifically recommended a dark suit for the service, Trump showed up in his bluest blue suit. Something from the Cedric the Entertainer funeral collection. You know, Fox News, you may remember, had a collective aneurysm when President Obama wore a tan suit to a press briefing. Man, oh man, if Obama wore in a blue suit to the Pope's funeral, Sean Hannity's head would explode inside Trump's ass. The fact that he was the only person not wearing a dark suit did not go unnoticed. So the White House press secretary pushed back. She said the president looked great and presidential alongside our stunning first lady, who was, as usual, dressed perfectly for the occasion. And she's right about Melania. I don't know about stunning, but she definitely looks stunned. Show them together, because this is the happiest I've ever seen these two together. It was like they're on their second honeymoon or something.
Meanwhile, another battlefield lit up: global trade. While Trump clowned around with retaliatory tweets, he quietly doubled tariffs on aluminum and steel. The result: American manufacturers scrambled, prices surged, and factories turned to China. Yes, China, Toyota, Nissan, Volkswagen. Giants that Trump swore to keep in the US instead expanded. Production in Beijing. They're building cars for every country except one. And you can guess which one. In other words, the America First president accidentally created the most America last supply chain of the decade. And the kicker, these moves weren't strategic. They were emotional. He wasn't focused on economics. He was raging over memes. While TikTok danced to Taco Man and Twitter laughed about President Karen, the global market quietly left America behind. One man's ego turned into a geopolitical liability. And now we're all paying the price.
On this one, he's claiming that paying women to be quiet is not a crime. It's basically a porking ticket.
It's not a crime. We're here for something that is not a crime. Literally, legal experts, legal scholars said they don't understand it. There's no crime. And there was no crime here at all. Virtually every legal scholar says they don't understand it. There's no crime. Even if he was guilty of something, there's no crime.
Right. Even if he was guilty of a crime, for instance, there's no crime. Your Honor, if there's anything I'm guilty of, it's loving too much. And then tomorrow in New York, the judge is expected to rule in the $370 million civil fraud case against Trump. Let me tell you something. He has to pay $370 million. We're about to see an explosion unlike any we've ever witnessed before. I would love to be a fly dodging ketchup bottles on the wall for that moment. I really would.